And speaking of schools and all that, I was wondering, how has your education at Western University supported your journey in entrepreneurship?
For sure. So I'm basically right now in a program at Western, or I'm intending to do a dual degree with the Ivy Business School and the Faculty of International Relations at Western. So that's essentially a 5-year degree where for the first 2 years of study, you specialize solely in what you want to do, which for me is international relations. And then in the remainder, the 3 remaining years, you kind of do a combination of the two. And so I actually haven't really had that much of a business education thus far. I have been in arts. And I think even though people don't really talk about arts being applicable to the business world, I think it's definitely certainly helped me in ways that it's helped kind of the development of this business in really, really important ways. For instance, in first year, I took an English literature course, English Lit 12 or 1020, which I think it had a lot of people. But essentially, what it did was it got me really into reading classical literature, which I think is super important for everyone looking to get into business, because what it does is it teaches you empathy. And there are actually a lot of scholarly studies about this too that illustrate kind of the effects of reading English literature, which is that it kind of makes you more empathetic and makes you able to imagine yourself in the shoes of other people more effectively, I guess. And so from that course, I really began reading kind of on my own time more. And I found that kind of in the summer when coming up with the ideas for CourseLnk and conceptualizing features like the filter one I said, and the calendar one that we're adding now, I think English literature and the empathy that it gave me really played an important role in kind of in doing that.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. I feel like that's not the typical advice you hear from like an entrepreneur on this type of question. That's very, very unique.
No, not at all. But yeah. Actually, both my parents are entrepreneurs as well. I'm very privileged in that sense, and both of them were English literature majors as well.
Wow.
And yeah, I think people underestimate the importance of the humanities and the arts a lot in business. I think that every business person should be well versed in the arts, and that's why I really like the program at Western, which allows you to kind of explore both of those avenues simultaneously, because you can get the practical knowledge with the business, but then you can also get knowledge that isn't necessarily practical, but knowledge that is kind of useful in other senses in personal development, I guess, through the other courses.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like in business, I've heard this talked about many times before, but it's so important to develop your soft skills, interacting with people. That's what business is all about. So if you're like a really great communicator and you learn how to be empathetic and communicate things very, very clearly, that's so important in my opinion.
Yeah. And I really think too that literature and good literature that has the capacity to really help develop kind of business ethics as well. Because I think that's a really big problem in the business world right now. And not just now, but kind of in its history. And I think there's no better way to learn about kind of business integrity and being ethical in your operations than by reading people like Charles Dickens, who talk about the consequences of kind of corporate irresponsibility in the 19th century. And Joseph Conrad, who goes really in depth about corporate social responsibility in the Congo in the early 20th century. So I think it's something that's really important. There's actually, in my Business 2257 class, one of the cases that we were looking at involved basically a decision that a corporation had to make that would involve laying off 50 people, 50 of its workers. And throughout the entire 2-hour discussion that we had about it, not a single person mentioned kind of how the consequences of laying off these 50 people, that wasn't even a consideration. It was all costs and kind of other stuff like that, productivity, efficiency. And I just think it's really important for everyone in business to kind of gain empathy and to be empathetic and really take into perspective or take other people's perspectives into account, in particularly when doing operational decisions.
Hey, did you like this video? If so, click the subscribe button down below.
And make sure you click the notification bell to get updates each time we post. And remember, you can listen to the entire episode on 8 different platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Check out the links down below.
Bye.
Bye.